It's a lovely day. It's always a lovely day in Portsmouth, Mary, I can hear you say. But I'm going to take myself back here with a little help from Lisa, because in my very early days on the Isle of Man, after deciding to come to live here, I got persuaded to sing a few songs down the bottom bar of the Perwick Bay Hotel. Lots of people have wonderful memories of the old Perwick, as we used to call it, and the bottom bar. Well, if you weren't in there by 6:30, you weren't in for the night. It was as simple as that. In those heady days of Jackson doing his folky thing. Lisa, you were around a little later in my time at the Perwick. Just tell me the story of how you got to be there yourself.
My parents had a hotel in Perwick in North Wales, and my father decided he would like to come and live in the Isle of Man because it was a nicer place. So he bought the Perwick Bay Hotel, and when I was 11, that was it. We came on the boat and moved to the Isle of Man.
So what about your early memories of the Perwick?
I just remember helping, really. You know, waiting on breakfast, evening meals for the residents. A lot of the people that we had used to come and stay with us in North Wales actually came and stayed with us in the Perwick, which was lovely. Families used to come back year after year after year.
There's a lot of pictures. You've got an awful lot of pictures of your days at the Perwick. For example, I've been looking at the forums. Okay, dangerous thing to do, by the way. Dangerous. Don't go looking for complimentary remarks on the various Manx forums, although one or two of them are. And I can never remember these donkeys. I'll put it to the camera there, and Drew who's looking after the camera, will obviously perhaps highlight these playful donkeys. But you were telling me that one day there was one, and the next day there was two.
Yes, my father, who loved animals. We had all kinds of animals, ducks, geese, etc., chickens. And he got a donkey, and one morning he went to feed the donkey, and there was two donkeys.
What was the name of the donkey?
She was Blodwyn.
Welsh.
And baby was Christian. And he was just adorable.
Okay, that's Manx enough.
Yeah, and then
enough.
When they sold the Perwick, they moved to Ballasalla.
What, the donkeys as well?
The donkeys moved to Ballasalla, and we used to go and visit them.
But am I right in thinking there were more than donkeys around the place? There was a few other bits and pieces, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was goats to keep the grass, because the grass went down to the...
Who needs a mower?
The pool. Exactly, it wasn't easy to cut, it sloped down.
Going down to the pool wasn't easy. Did you ever get down there?
Yes, I go all the time, yeah.
Did you ever get, I'll rephrase the question, did you ever get down there easily?
Yes, there was a couple of paths.
Oh, what's that?
It was going down was fine. It was coming back up when you'd been swimming all afternoon with your friends, and you had to walk uphill.
Well, I used to remember it was a bit chilly down there, wasn't it? Because it was in the shade a little. But for youngsters, you wouldn't bother.
No, we weren't bothered at all. No, it was great fun.
When I opened the door to your house, still living in Portsmouth, Mary, I see. You mentioned that you'd been up in the attic and that you'd seen a couple of photographs or posters to do with my dim and distant on Manx Radio about jolly bodies.
Jolly body, be a jolly body, yeah.
But that photograph you've got there, again we'll highlight this in the interview itself, that's of Jackson, me, actually in Liverpool. So I must have come back, having left the island in late 78, should we say, and gone back to the Perwick to meet you up there, having more of these than I've got enough of. I've still got about 20,000.
I remember you coming up.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah.
You do?
I do, yeah. I do.
You're going back a bit. Anyway, I signed this to Hi Jolly Body, Alan Jackson. But I remember also doing that bottom bar. Did you wouldn't remember those days at all, would you?
No. They used to call it the ballroom.
No, did they?
Yeah.
You couldn't dance in there.
Yeah, there was a little bar and a walkway going through to it.
The ballroom?
Yeah. We had a snooker table in there in the end, yeah.
So from a ballroom it became a snooker room?
Yeah.
Okay, that's more like it.
It was a playroom for my sister and I when we first moved
Fantastic views though.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Did you settle in pretty good?
Oh yes. Yeah.
It'd have its own traffic, you see, wouldn't it? And its own functions.
yes, we did a lot of weddings and work dues, you know, engagement parties, things like that.
Well, I'm sure Drew will actually bring up during our interview a photograph, he might well do it now, of your mum and dad at Perwick Bay. Now that shows
The view.
yeah, the view out
Yeah.
of the any window that would look out to sea with your mum and dad.
It was stunning.
Well, home from home really for them, was it?
Yeah, it was lovely. My father, they absolutely loved it there, my dad. Absolutely loved it.
But Ken and Margaret Ives, there for some 10 years, I'm told.
Yes, yeah.
It's a while.
So-
Probably the longest they'd been at any of the places they'd been to.
Possibly, yes, I don't know, possibly. I never asked, I never, yeah.
But set in the countryside, this was the thing. There was very little up that end, wasn't there?
Yeah, and he could have his animals, you see, there as well. I think he should have been a farmer, really.
Well, we've done the 2 donkeys, you've done the goats. What else would you remember?
The geese, we had geese and ducks, and they were all always having chicks, and they weren't very good parents, and there were chickens up in a hen house behind the garage and lay eggs for us. Yes, what else was there? Oh, when we first moved there were some feral cats.
What are they?
Wild cats.
All right.
And they could be a little bit tatty, and you know, they used to hang around by the kitchen door.
Food.
Yeah, and one of them, she was a bit tatty, and I think the others picked her because she was ginger, so I caught her and tamed her, and she was my pet.
And you gave her a name?
Ginger. Yeah. And
Different?
She used to love sitting in the bird box, the bird feeder, bird house. She used to like sitting in there.
I always found the Perwick deceiving because the bar was cosy. Downstairs where I used to sing for a few nights in the early 70s, cosy. And yet it had how many rooms?
18. Yeah.
Did you do anything with those rooms yourself? Did you have a job to do with them?
The bedrooms, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, there were 20 or 22 when we first moved there, and then you know, because everybody was wanting en suites, they knocked like the middle ones through to make en suites.
Right.
So we went down to 18 rooms. Yes, I used to be a chambermaid.
And what about
in the
functions
summer
there?
holiday.
Because functions again, I mean functions were a great part of the social life of the Isle of Man and Portsmouth area in particular.
Yes, had a lot to do with them, mainly behind the scenes. I didn't really like being out front. I didn't.
A bit like your mum.
Quite shy, yeah. I'd rather be in the kitchen. I would, you know, maybe if it was a small buffet, help prepare the sandwiches, etc. But I would prefer to do the dishes at the end of it all.
Oh,
I
Lisa!
was very good at working the big, massive dishwasher.
You're Cinderella in disguise.
I preferred that. My sister would work behind the bar, but I didn't want to.
No?
No. I worked at the Cherry Orchard behind the bar. It was fine because it was nothing to do with me. You see.
So why was it different to working behind the bar at a place your mum and dad owned?
I think because it was too personal.
If somebody came complaining?
Yes, or if, you know, somebody was a bit worse for wear, shall we say, and you know, had to be asked to leave or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it was a bit.
That wouldn't
you know,
be your job. You really...
No, but especially if you knew them, it'd be a bit embarrassing, and you'd go like, oh no, what's that? You know.
So your mum and dad, were they always in the hospitality business?
Yes, yes. He
How did they meet? Remember?
He ran, I'm not sure if it was just a bar, I think it was just a bar I think it was High Wycombe, I'm not quite sure, but that was where my mum was from, somewhere around the area. My father was originally from Kent, and mum used to go into the bar, I think, and drink. I think that's how they met, and then they managed a place in North Wales, and then they eventually bought the Posterity Hotel in North Wales where I was born and spent my first 11 years. That was beautiful as well. We had peacocks and everything.
And you brought out some memorabilia and memories of.
Yeah.
The reason we think, and again, it needs a close up. I know, Drew. This is a box of matches, and the reason we think it was of the age that your mum and dad might be there is because it says 0624. It's 07 now, isn't it? 0724?
01624.
No, that's the landline. Oh, do you think that's... Oh, well,
it's a landline.
Was this a landline?
Yeah.
0624.
Yes, that was before mobiles were invented.
Well, I thought that was a mobile number, you see. So there we are. We're getting confused here.
Yeah.
So this was the landline number.
Yes. Yeah.
And do you reckon
Big
that's in your mum and
trouble
dad's time, do you think?
Yes, definitely.
Was it?
Yes, definitely. I remember them. And the beer mats as well.
We're just having a look. You talk between yourselves for a minute.
Yeah,
The beer mats. There's a beer mat from the age of the 80s, 70s and 80s, do you think?
Yeah.
Would that be your dad's creation
80s,
again?
I would think so.
Looks very imposing, doesn't
Not
it?
100% sure, yeah.
Well, I'd be in that back room down there, you see.
Room there,
the ballroom, as you
yeah.
call it. That became a snooker room.
Yeah, we never used it as a ballroom, but hey.
Jacko's little den.
Yeah.
And where did you live? Where did you live? Where was your living quarters?
Behind that main building.
Well, you can't see on the camera there. So talk me through it. Can you if I go through the main entrance, and I'm trying to get your mum and dad to the main entrance. We've got a lovely picture of the main entrance that we'll show you in a minute. It's all right. We'll show that on the actual footage. So we're going in this main entrance, and that main entrance didn't kind of tally in a way, did it, with the magnificence of the building?
No, when you came in, you left, there was a big staircase and you went up there, and there was a separate building, if you like, which housed all the bedrooms, and underneath the hotel bedrooms there was like a flat that we had as a family.
I'm looking there at something that I think your mum and dad were responsible for, and that's that calendar that you send out.
Yeah,
to 19 where you're coming from, isn't it?
Yeah.
1984, gorgeous views from probably the bottom of the bay by the pool. Wonderful stuff. The Perwick Bay with Ken and Margaret Ives from 78 to around about 88. Lisa, as Ken and Margaret's daughter, well, there were two of you.
Yes, there was two of us. I have the younger one.
What was the name of your
Juliet.
sister? Juliet. Well, you're the last remaining Ives, as it were, in Port St Mary, still living in the port.
Yeah.
Leaving the Perwick Bay, was that inevitable? Because your mum and dad took you down to the basement one day and said, "Look at the state of this."
No, it wasn't really something you thought about, really. I suppose you just presumed that they would just always do it, really.
Right.
And I think probably Dad was coming up to retirement age probably as well. And I think, I don't really know, but I presume, maybe wrongly, that maybe there wasn't enough it would need too much work to stabilise it.
There were cracks everywhere downstairs,
just in the big cellars, where it was subsiding.
Oh dear.
And of course it subsided, one of the buildings subsided earlier this
Something
year with
slipped.
all the rain.
Something slipped, didn't it, up there? Having said that, of course, maybe it was coupling together, of course, with your dad thinking, well, maybe it's time to retire.
Yeah.
Did they stay on the island or move away?
They stayed on the island, they stayed in Port St Mary. Yeah.
With all the donkeys and geese? And
No, the geese, I think he'd eased them out, and they probably went to farms and things. I don't know who had the donkeys, it was somebody in Ballasalla, but we used to go and visit them and feed them, and they would always come to Dad's call.
So when you were there as a family, did you live as a family, or really were you doing so many different jobs to keep the place moving and ticking over that you were a team? But perhaps was there many times for the family to get together? Yeah,
more so in the winter, because in the summer you're busy, you've got residents, bar meals at lunchtime, evening meals, the odd function as well. But in the winter it was quieter, it was more family time then, because we had the flat at the bottom of the hotel rooms, which was more family, and but of course we still had the public bar as well that Mum and Dad had to go to work to, but that was more Father's domain really. He liked all that. I'm
just looking at this particular photograph. Now you've got to be quick on this one, you've got to have a good eye, because look in the distance on this particular photograph and you'll find the house that once belonged to Ronnie and Mary Aldridge. Lovely, lovely couple. Did you meet them?
Oh yes, they were very friendly with Mum and Dad, very friendly. Yes.
Well, that was where they lived. I don't know who's living there now. I don't know if anybody's living there at the minute, Great, great shame. He had his studios there in that house too. And they had their boat.
Yes.
Go down to the boat, and that would often be seen heading for the coast of Scotland. But how would you perhaps describe your time as a young girl growing up and having memories of Perwick Bay?
It was a lovely place to grow up, you know, and having a swimming pool was just something that it's not normal. Couldn't believe it that we were going to a hotel that had a swimming pool. And it was lovely, but it was a bigger hotel than what my parents had in Wales, and I think it was extremely hard work for my parents. But my sister and I, we didn't know any different. You just muck in, and as you get older, you get bigger jobs to do, like bar work, etc. My sister did that. But waiting on, bit of cleaning for some pocket money and things like that. Yeah.
And you've still got memories of the old Jolly Body days, because that's how you greeted me at the door.
Yeah.
I remember you when you called me a Jolly Body.
Yeah, you did. You
And my first and only record, called Bright Lights, no it wasn't, it was called Manxland. I actually made and sold it in the bottom bar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, we didn't make it there, but we sold it with the people who were coming in there. Got rid of 1,000. It's alright, we did well. And I've still got a copy somewhere along the way. And we'll play it again someday, I'm sure. Manxland. I played at this exhibition that we've got going at Portsmouth Town Hall. But wonderful photographs, some great memories, and what's not to like about the memories of the Perwick Bay Hotel, particularly with Mona and Mary in my days, and then your mum and dad, Ken and Margaret Ives, taking over to fly the flag high until the mid-80s. Okay?